Hello, 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 and welcome back, family, to Masquerade Monday. My name is Huddy, and tonight we're talking LA by Night. As always, this video is not scripted, and these opinions are all my own, so take what I say with a grain of salt. Also, there is a big info dump in this episode, so there will be no opinion portion at the end. I will say my piece when and if I have one. Now, kindred, ready for a party? This was the episode I was most excited about so far this season. The teaser image released had everyone looking stunning and dapper, and my favorite was a photo shoot between X and Eva looking undeniably fabulous. Before the episode began, the family was treated to a special opening screen featuring a blue rose, clearly because Jasper forgot to bring one for Nellie, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The episode begins with a marvelous description of the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood by the always meticulous Jason Carl. The first to arrive to the big event is, of course, the undisputed Baron of the Valley himself, Victor Temple. Victor exits his limo with his entourage of security, including Campbell, and is flooded with questions about the hottest new star on the scene, Special K. Victor tells them she is dropping an album soon, to which Campbell asks, "Does Miss Kyoko know this?" Next to arrive is the enigmatic X, his first appearance this season, and man, what an appearance it is. He arrives on a scooter, classic, and is wearing a dress over a pair of suit pants, specifically because Nellie gave him clear-cut instructions to wear dress pants, and X, being X, interpreted that in his own way. The paparazzi try to figure out who this mysterious figure is and why he was invited to such an exclusive party, to which X responds that he's a model and that they can have his image but not his name. Entering into the lobby, it quickly becomes apparent X is wearing an earpiece and that Chloe, aka Archangel, is talking to him, but more on that later. Next to arrive is Jasper and Eva, the two of them looking unbelievably beautiful, Jasper in black and red, and Eva in red and white. Nellie had told Jasper to use the basement entrance, and they are greeted by a security guard named Raoul, who is clearly taken aback by Jasper's appearance, a running theme for the rest of the night. He snaps photos of Jasper as they walk past him, and Jasper is forced to pay him $50 to delete them. I personally would have threatened to tell Nellie on him, and although Jasper does ask for his name, he doesn't relay the incident to the Baron. Finally, Annabelle arrives at the party, having already been at the Roosevelt before the others arrived. We learned that she had spent the early hours of the night shaking hands with the local kindred of Hollywood, and she learns that although some are willing to give Nellie a chance as Baron, many are skeptical of her ability to fill Abram's shoes. Annabelle sneaks outside and mounts her motorcycle, making a grand entrance for the cameras and cheering crowds. She and X meet in the lobby, and X is clearly nervous as Chloe chatters in his ear. Annabelle has known X long enough to know that something is up with him. They both decide to head to the pool area where Nellie and the bulk of the party are waiting. We get an overview of the party, which includes a glass dance floor over a portion of the pool, and multiple famous or infamous kindred, including Velvet Velour, Casey, Nines Rodriguez, Miranda, and a few Camarilla attendees, namely Edison and the two Tremere we met in the last episode, Bosch and Vera. Nellie sits in a private, high-set, bedazzled cabana that overlooks the party and has throngs of movie producers and attendants flooding her with praise and favors in equal measure. Jasper and Eva reach Nellie first, and Nellie gives Jasper a black key card that will allow him passage into most of the doors of the Roosevelt. After paying quick respects, Eva goes off, followed quickly by Jasper, to go hunting. She finds a man already 3 sheets to the wind and offers him some treats in the form of LSD tabs. He agrees, and Jasper shields any prying eyes as Eva feeds off the guy, leaving him sleepy and tripping under one of the palm trees. Nellie and Annabelle also chat for a bit while this is going on, and Annabelle also receives a black keycard. Before Victor can reach Nellie, X finds him and commandeers a cabana for them both. We learn that Victor has been paying for an apartment for X for reasons he claims he doesn't even know. Seriously, Victor is the best undad, spoiling all these kids. X wants to ask Victor about Edison and sort of roundaboutly informs Victor about Edison's habit of exchanging vitae for information, which we did see happen in a Season 3 epilogue. Before Victor can really address this information, Chloe interrupts to remind X to tell Victor about the Thin Bloods, that the Camarilla doesn't consider Thin Bloods to be kindred, and therefore, hurting or killing them wouldn't break the truce in their eyes. X claims that he's trying to help the Thin Bloods, that some might be disappearing, and that something is going on in their community. He also asks Victor if he's seen or heard anything about fortune tellers. We remember from episode 3 that a fortune teller had set up shop in front of Victor's club, the Club Maharani, but was quickly dispersed. X is clearly not skilled at espionage, and the conversation eventually devolves to X flouncing dramatically out of the cabana before Victor can really get a handle on what X was trying to tell him. Annabelle runs into Victor and X as they exit the cabana, and shortly Jasper and Eva catch up to them, Eva clearly vibing on that acid-laced blood. Victor and Annabelle rave about Jasper and Eva's outfits, and Nellie texts the group to tell them to come meet her in her cabana. On the way, Lydia from Mystic Circle Books, who we met in episode 2, excitedly greets Jasper and Eva and asks them if they talk to anyone in Gorefest magazine for her. Victor quickly clouds her memory and gently nudges her away from them. X's nervous energy gets turned up a notch when he sees both Eva and Jasper. Chloe, clearly agitated, talks into X's ear asking how Jasper and Eva look, lamenting that she works for X. Chloe seems almost borderline abusive here, and X, given his past history with Therese, really doesn't deserve it, and Chloe comes off as almost manipulative. The group make their way to Nellie's cabana, and X exclaims, "Whoa, Nellie!" Excellent. Nellie compliments Jasper on his taste in fashion, gives 3 more cards to the rest of the coterie, with X's being slightly different, i.e., his card tracks every room he goes into. The coterie talks briefly about the incident with the gargoyle, the magic castle, the meeting with Katya, and the appearance of Therese, all which occurred earlier in the evening. Eva reveals that Katya is her sire and insists that she's nice and wouldn't lie to her because Katya still loves her. Victor lets Nellie know that Therese and Fiona aren't convinced Nellie can handle being barren, another common theme this evening, and Chloe seems really keen on finding out more info about Katya, which I find particularly interesting, but I don't really know why she would want to know. Very curious. X gives Nellie a gift for becoming barren, a vision, and failing his rouse check, he hears the menacing voice of Therese in his ear. Staring at Nellie, X's vision begins to swim and shift, and he stands in a world of black and white with no discernible sounds, while spotlights play around the area. It's a theater marquee, but there are no letters, only symbols of kindred clans: a scepter and sword, a rose, a crown, and a wolf. The symbols begin to chase each other around the marquee like a merry-go-round, the wolf snapping at the crown. Now this is the 3rd time we've heard about this vision of the wolf and the crown, and the coterie makes note of this, remembering that when X says something 3 times, it's going to come true and/or it is true. They discuss what it could mean, briefly, but honestly, it's a Malkavian vision, and the devil may or may not be in the details. There are so many things that it could possibly mean. The fact that the vision was in black and white may mean it's something from the past. The fact that many clan symbols were not featured may be relevant. The fact that the crown may or may not be the La Sombra crown could be important. Really, who can say? As Victor astutely observes, eventually something will happen and they'll understand the vision, only when it's too late. Victor seems to think the wolf symbol may relate to the gangrel, and it very well may, and after a successful intelligence and politics roll, we get a brief history on the gangrel and their leaving en masse from the Camarilla. I made a video all about the gangrel, which you can watch here, but if this does have something to do with the gangrel, could Beckett be involved? It's important to note, Chloe seems to think that Victor is totally wrong about his interpretation, that it's any crown, any rose, any sword and scepter, which only makes things more confusing, at least to me. Nellie activates heightened senses here and is able to hear Chloe's voice coming out of X's earpiece. Jasper and Annabelle take X out of the cabana for a chat, while Eva, Nellie, and Victor remain inside. X explains to Jasper that he has started a club called the X's because his name is X and it's with Jasper's ex-girlfriend. Jasper explains that he knows about Chloe being ghouled by X already and that he wants to talk to Chloe. Chloe is obviously angry with Jasper and once again claims to have been abandoned by him. Jasper also once again explains that he did not abandon her, but that she left and he lost track of her. It's a confusing situation. Is it just a miscommunication? Jasper wants to talk to her and X says he'll set up a meeting with them in one of their fortune-telling spots, which he and Chloe are using to gather information and to stir the pot. What pot they're stirring and why isn't exactly clear. Back inside the cabana, Nellie relays all of X and Jasper's conversation back to Victor, and Eva hands back Victor's rosary he had given her in episode 3. He had asked her to put bloodstones on it and says she'll be able to track him for the next week, but that she won't be here. She claims she's leaving to go take care of her mess and asks Victor to make sure Jasper doesn't follow her. Both Nellie and Victor try to convince her not to go, Nellie even saying that they're all family, but Eva claims he cannot change her mind. Nellie says she needs to know Eva will be okay, and Eva says she'll still have her phone on her. X bursts into the cabana at this point and grabs Eva, pulling her out onto the dance floor. Nellie and Annabelle also get out onto the floor, while Victor and Jasper stay in the cabana to chat. Chloe makes her disdain known that X is dancing with Eva, and X asks why she abandoned Chloe. Eva gives the same explanation as Jasper, to which Chloe blows raspberries. X clears away the crowd and begins moonwalking in the center, followed by cheers of X, X, X. Finally, confirmation that Jasper has repaid the boon owed to X back in Season 1. Back in the cabana, Victor brings up the Blind League to Jasper, information he got from Katya earlier in the night. Jasper lets quite a few skeletons out of his closet here. He tells Victor that he was born a rich kid, and as a bored New York socialite, he joined a cult in college, one that claimed to give people power through magical means. Jasper claims it wasn't real magic, but we know that Kindred can use institutions like this for real magical purposes. Jasper has said before that he killed someone when he was a human, but now we learn that it was his best friend, who he stabbed with his favorite knife that he still uses now. He stole some things from the cult or his friend, it's not clear, and ran off to LA. Victor doesn't judge Jasper here, proclaiming that it was literally another life. Someone needs to get Victor a Dad of the Year mug. Victor is worried that this information is important to the Tremere, but Jasper claims to not know anything more. Edison grabs Nellie off of the dance floor and they do some gossiping. Apparently, Paulina is having difficulty launching any new fashion lines, can't imagine why, and that Prince Vannevar Thomas is still not doing well and that he doesn't appear often in court. Edison lavishes praise on Suzanne, his seneschal, and claims that she and Strauss are running the country, so to speak. He also divulges that he heard some coteries were tasked with provoking a reaction that would break the truce. But he says he hasn't seen any results from it. Could the Black Rabbits coterie be one of them? Finally, he mentions that Therese has been hanging around the Camarilla court lately, and we as the audience know from a Season 3 vignette that she is actively causing Vannevar's cheese to fall off his cracker. Annabelle runs into Blake, the Thin Blood, who we met at Delilah's club, The Deep, in Episode 1. Blake takes the beer Annabelle was holding to keep up appearances and takes a swig, telling Annabelle that he can eat and drink but can't walk in the sun like Delilah can. He also tells Annabelle about the recipe Kyoko had given to Delilah and that what it produces can wake Kindred from torpor. They haven't tested it yet, but if it can do that, boy would that be a helpful resource for an accident-prone Nosferatu we all know. Blake indicates a small group of kindred giving him dirty looks from across the dance floor, and Annabelle immediately walks over to them. While X and Eva are dancing, X asks about the necklace Jasper gave Eva off-screen in Season 3, the glass vial with a dried sunflower and a jasper stone inside. X takes it in his hand and activates the spirit's touch, and fails yet another rouse check, prompting his beast to antagonize him further. Now, the spirit's touch allows a kindred to learn something of an object from its resonance. First, X feels the surface emotions of the object coming from Eva, and they are love, sorrow, and fear. The next layer is the core emotion associated with the necklace, when all surface emotions are stripped away, and that is gratitude. Finally, X can feel the resonance of anyone else who has touched it, the deepest layer, and that would come from Jasper, and the resonance left on it is contentment. This prompts an emotional response from X, who says it's the most he's ever felt Jasper happy. Eva asks if Chloe still loves him, and X crushes the earpiece before answering. He claims that Chloe is confused and that she feels abandoned, but that she could forgive Eva and Jasper if that's what they want. Eva says she never wanted Chloe to leave. X says he admires Eva and wishes they had spent more time together. It was at this point I was starting to get worried. I was already there when Eva said she was going to leave, but X, whether he understands it or not, has a way of knowing things like any good Malkavian. It was almost as if they were saying goodbye, and my heart was sinking. X tells Eva she has to do it, and asks if that makes sense. She says it does, and thanks him. Then X says he's sorry. Ouch, my feelings. Victor goes off to meet with Casey, who introduces him to two members of the newly formed Valkyries. Casey introduces them as Torrance and Nails. Victor, still hung up on X's vision, asks Casey about Sycorax, the only other surviving member of the Valkyries. Casey says she's still mending after being in torpor, which Victor casts doubt on since it's been so long, but Casey evades the question. Victor wants to know if the gangrel are planning anything big, and Torrance says that she is a gangrel and will tell him all she knows if Victor introduces her to Baron Griffith. Jasper comes out of the cabana and heads toward Nellie, who is once again entertaining a movie producer, who is immediately startled by Jasper's mask. Nellie claims Jasper is good with his hands and leads Jasper away. Anyone who has read any Jeva fanfiction knows that the consensus among the family is that Jasper is good with his hands. Anyway, Nellie leads him into the hotel, and Jasper extends the same deal he had with Abrams to Nellie, since she is technically his Baron. We learned in Season 1 that Jasper had routinely taken dangerous kindred, his words, off the street for Baron Abrams and incarcerated them in cages in his haven. Nellie agrees to continue this arrangement. Meanwhile, Annabelle learns that the kindred casting dirty looks to Blake the Thinblood are a trio named Ollie, Al, and Elle. Ollie claims to be the Baron of Sun Valley. They explain that they do not trust the Thinbloods, that the Thinbloods are going to bring about the end of the world. For the first time this season, I really got behind Annabelle, who stood her ground and used her considerable charm and persuasion to convince them that treating the Thinbloods like the Camarilla treat the Anarchs makes them just as bad, and surprisingly, they come around. This is the type of leader we want to see in Annabelle. Let's hope she keeps it up. Torrance and Victor meet up with Nellie and Jasper, and Torrance immediately gives Jasper a nickname, the Jasp. Awesome. Torrance then of course says that the gangrel aren't doing anything big these nights, and Victor is immediately disappointed. Can't win them all, Baron. Jasper leaves the group and Annabelle arrives to tell Victor about the Sun Valley Baron. Victor's mood goes from disappointed to furious as he storms off towards this poser of a Baron. Jasper finds Eva with Campbell, who is doing his best to keep Eva on her own 2 feet as she is dangerously close to falling into the pool. Eva excuses herself from X and speaks to Jasper alone. Okay, family, get ready for some aggravated damage from these incoming feels. Eva apologizes for all the problems she's been causing, that she really cares about him, and that she's going to go away. Jasper asks where she's going, and she says somewhere she won't be his problem anymore. Ouch, yep, that's 2 ag right there. Jasper says she's not a problem, that she doesn't have to go away. Eva says he has a lot to deal with, including Chloe. Jasper says he can't stop her from going, but that he thought she wasn't running away anymore. Eva claims she's not running, that she's going straight to the source. Eva then says that she loves him, something many of us Jeva shippers have been waiting to hear. She takes his hand and gives him a ring, something she claims won't be taken from him like the last one, that it's nothing anyone would recognize, and says, something to remember me by. Not a thing someone says when they think they are coming back, no? Jasper tells her she better come back, that he doesn't want to come looking for her, and Eva, through a cracking voice, tells him not to look for her. Jasper leans in, maybe hoping for a kiss, but Eva leans her head against his instead and leaves. Jasper says, I love you too, after she is gone. Now you did it, I'm in torpor. I really have to commend Josephine McAdam and Alexander Ward here. Their acting was so on point, so raw and emotional. There wasn't a dry eye in the chat during this exchange. We don't know how long Eva will be gone, but based on this tweet by Josephine after the episode aired, I doubt we'll see her again this season. The night ends with Annabelle worrying about their thin blood allies, Nellie asking for Jasper's help with decoding a cipher in fashion magazines, and Victor using Daunt to scare off Ollie and his crew. They don't call Victor the undisputed Baron for nothing. The vignette plays where once again Ebe and Greg are staking out that location in Brentwood. Greg is asking Ebe about what her favorite food was when she could still eat, and what types of foods people ate when she was human in the late 1800s. Ebe distracts him, causing Greg to turn away from her, and I was so sure she was going in for a bite on the neck, but instead, Ebe handcuffed him to the steering wheel and gets out of the car despite much yelling and protesting from everyone's favorite ghoul. If you haven't already, please go follow the World of Darkness Twitch channel and subscribe to them on YouTube. If you can, sub to their channel on Twitch and support their sponsors Backblaze and Level Up Dice. All links can be found in the description. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to me as well for new content every Masquerade Monday, and let me know your thoughts on Episode 6, Hollywood Forever, in the comments. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!